Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarity. I will be your host, and we are going to go on a quest for truth together. Yes. How are you folks? How are you doing? I want to say straight off the bat, thank you for all of the people who subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. My only way of advertising is word of mouth, so I appreciate all the likes and the shares. It really helps a lot. And so thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing. Knowledge is free, so spread it around. Okay, today we're going to talk about something very interesting. It's about a very large continent where they've found fossils of rainforests, of tropical forests. And they found it on the large continent of Antarctica. Okay, Antarctica is a phenomenon. It's a very interesting place. I mean, you can't go there. I mean, you can, but you can't explore there. It's kind of off limits. But now, at the end of World War II, after World War II was over, there was a contingency of a battle fleet sent down to Antarctica to take out the last remnants of the Third Reich, which they knew had some kind of base down near Antarctica. And so it was Admiral Byrd was on this, and it was a very large operation, and it was going to be several months long. They went down there, they encountered some craft they'd never seen before, and also they couldn't battle these things. One of their battleships was cut right in half and sunk. Every airplane was wiped out. They turned tail. Behind me is a picture of Antarctica. We're going to get to that. So they turned tail and ran. The weaponry they encountered was some sort of energy beam. And so after this happened, it was stated that the next war will have to be something that can go from pole to pole in a very short period of time. He's thinking about down there in Antarctica. Now, in Antarctica, under the ice, there are heat vents. There are geothermal heat vents that create these bubbles under the ice, and it's really nice down there. And what's happening is there was a flash frozen civilization there, friends, and it used to be tropical, and then something happened, whether it was a solar sneeze, the solar flash, something, and the Earth tilted. It's tilted off its axis. It's not straight up and down. It's I think 23 degrees or something like that. So Antarctica used to be in a more of a warmer climate. So these people and everything in their society was flash frozen in an instant in this cataclysm. And so this stuff is starting to melt. They're finding these people who are much taller than humans, with a much larger cranium, and much wider cranium in some cases, and much taller. And a different sort of a body type, not really equipped well for this planet. The story is that about maybe 55,000 years ago, 3 large spacecraft either landed or crash landed in Antarctica. And these people, they could not get out, so they decided to just make, this was still when it was tropical, make a civilization out of the stuff out of their ships. According to Goode, now the ships are very large, but there are some beings still in stasis inside these craft that might be still alive or revivable. So very interesting. Now, Google Earth, you can look and see Antarctica, parts of it you can see on Google Earth. There's some very interesting things that you can see, and people have found some very interesting things just looking around on that. that's probably the best way to look there for now, unless you're super wealthy and you have a submarine, because apparently underneath the ice are these tunnels that lead into these bases that the Draco reptilians that were letting the Nazis build a camp out there, a base, so they could build out these their space launching. And so this is how they got to the moon. And they actually, according to Corey Goode, they got to the moon mid to late 40s or maybe earlier. And it's bizarre. It's incredible to think about, but they were very advanced. The World War II fighters saw what they called Foo Fighters, these balls of light that went from wing to wing. So they were developing very high-tech craft, or they were alien craft. Nobody really knows. Actually, I interviewed a guy who wrote a book, Keith Chester, and he wrote a book about the Foo Fighters, and I'll put that up on the screen. Very interesting book. I highly recommend it. He spent months going through the archives, the dusty archives, and looking up stuff that hadn't been opened in 40, 50 years. So it's an incredible book. Great guy. Get the book. Read it. You'll love it. So the Draco reptilians. Now, I did a little drawing of a reptilian. Now, I don't know if this looks like any reptilian. I just drew a reptilian. I was looking at real reptilians and trying to envision it in a more of a human form. So this is my attempt at a reptilian, and another one from the side view. Different sort of reptilian. Now, I never really believed that there were reptilians before, but it seems like it's much more likely that there is. There's been a lot of people who've claimed, William Tompkins, Corey Goode, Randy Kramer, all of them have seen these reptilians. Now, some people claim that humans, they can look human and shapeshift. Now, I'm not really sure about that. I think what they might be doing instead of that is just they have a very powerful consciousness, and they can be perceived how they want to be perceived, and they can project that out, and they can even affect cameras miraculously. Apparently it's something they developed in their evolution on their planet to trick their prey into thinking, oh, it's one of our, beings. No, oops, it's too late. Gotcha. So very, very interesting. Now, Antarctica. Corey was brought down there by the inner Earth beings, the Anshar. If you've been studying Corey Goode, if you've been looking into his story at all, the inner Earth beings, a very interesting component of his story. And Ka'ari took Corey to Antarctica, and they had all these bodies laying out, and they're very strange looking bodies, and some humans, and it looks like they were doing experiments. There were some humans with tails, and it looked pretty Island of Dr. Moreau-ish, if you know what I mean. So there are some that believe that these beings still exist here on planet Earth. They became the rulers and the bloodline families, and that might very well be. I think we're finding out a lot of things. It's easier to perceive a lot of things. It's easier to perceive people and how they are too. I'm sure you've noticed. So Antarctica is just a really interesting, forbidden place that has all these secrets, these old bases, and Corey Goode said that the buildings aren't really recognizable. They've been crushed and minced with all the ice movement, but the craft, the spacecraft, are still semi-intact. But so Ka'ari took Corey into this other room. They went into this area where all these scrolls and books were, and they gathered up the books and scrolls that they did not want the black hats to find, and they went out of there. Very interesting. I wonder what was in those books. So now the inner Earth, we'll talk about Antarctica again, but the inner Earth, almost every civilization has some kind of story about people living underground. And some of the different types of humans that and beings that live underground that Corey's talked about, the Anshar look kind of like us, but more of an evolved, a fourth density being. And they say they've been here for 17 million years, but they also have come to humanity and said that they were gods, and then later they said they were aliens to try to influence our world and to help us out a little bit along the way because they're sort of related. But we're not sure if they're telling the truth. If they claim to be us in the future, but that, who knows? There's no way to tell. Maybe DNA. But there's these vast cities under there. There's big caverns underground. As the Earth was forming, all the rocks inside were tumbling around and created these giant caverns, as big as the state of Texas, some of them are. And they built out these massive cities under there. And it's completely controlled environment. They grow food down there. Very interesting. They don't grow their crops in dirt. They grow it in crushed rock and crystals. I want to ask Corey, what kind of crystals? Because I want to try that. But they have rushing water and the plants growing in this rock and crystals. And it creates high vibratorial food that's very nutritious and is very good for you. And that's what they eat down there. They're all vegetarians down there. And they can watch us. They sit in these egg-shaped chairs that are hovering, and they use their consciousness. All of their electronics is all consciousness powered. And they live much longer than us, a couple thousand years. So they can watch families for generations. And they watch us. And they kind of give hints and tips. Like if a scientist is like on a break, ready to have a breakthrough, they'll give them, oh, that idea. Where'd that come from? Or they'd be sitting there, and Corey said they'd be saying, oh, look, he's doing that same thing his grandfather did. So, very interesting. So we do have, I guess, guardian angels, other beings watching over us. When Corey was very young, he was brought to an underground cavern where these giant crystals were. And he was instructed with the rest of the children there who were in the program to try and telepathically communicate with these great crystals under the earth. And they were able to communicate with them, and Corey was one of them that was able to communicate. When he met Ka'ari in the inner earth, she asked him, because they touched hands and they exchanged memories, and she wanted to get his permission to share that memory of talking to those crystals with her people through this mind meld, because they worship these crystals and they haven't been able to go there since it was taken over by an insectoid beings that were very vicious. Very interesting story. We're going to get into this some more next time. I'm going to leave you with, again, the map. And where the circles are where all the underground bases are. And this is top secret information. You're probably not going to see this anywhere else. It was on Cosmic Disclosure, but all those episodes are gone. So hopefully they'll be back. And hopefully everything gets squared away with all of the harassment that he's been receiving from the paid shills. Now, some of these shills might not even know they're shills if they have funders or people steering them in certain ways. But yeah, Drain the Swamp in the community, and let's get back to unity in the community. Let's get together and let's work together and get the truth. Okay? And we got to open the country up again. It's got to happen. Like Nowsville. Let's go for it. Oh, I want to leave you with this other, it's important to laugh. Take a look at this Antarctica discovery that I made. Very important. You might chuckle, but check this out. What did you think of that? Well, and now, friends, we're going to talk about something completely different. And that something completely different is... What am I talking about? The hoax contest. Yes, make yourself a hoax video with a UFO, or throw a hubcap or something, whatever you can do. Flashlight on a stick is always fun. Make yourself a hoax video of a UFO, like a UFO hoax video or an alien hoax video. Send it in, and we'll play it. We'll play them all, and the winner, gets, where is it? This game, Tetragon 2. It's a game I invented. It's a non-violent game of strategic creation. First one to make 2 complete tetragons wins, and it's a great game. You'll find out your opponent's personality very quickly by playing this game. I mean, you can't hide your personality when you play this game. It's incredible. A lot of games are like that. This one especially. And some of you might know I'm a game and toy inventor designer. When I designed this one, when it came to me, it was like it just came to me, which was really weird. Makes me think that maybe it existed before and wanted to come back, and it just came through me. Possibly. It has an ancient quality to it. And it just kind of fell out of my mind. And it's never that easy. Designing a game is not that easy, but this game, it's incredible how quickly it just came to me and how wonderfully it plays. So it was featured at the Mensa Mind Games, and it's a great, great game. 2-player game, non-violent game of strategic creation. And so I'll leave you with that. This has been Truth Quest, your host Aaron Moriarity signing off. Peace in.